Hello.
Hey. Hey.
So we have the lovely lads from GymJam. We have Gavin, give us a wave.
How you doing?
And Will. And we obviously know what GymJam is and what you do, but for everyone who doesn't know, do you want to tell us who GymJam is, how you got about forming GymJam, what you do? Oh.
I'll get over to you.
Being very polite there, weren't we? Yeah, go on, Will.
So, I mean, GymJam kind of started out as the two of us kind of messing around, spilling lots of cups of tea and playing around with games and like exercises to use for movement. Like that, it started off as a really low-key thing, sort of working out ideas for our own practice to like work with other creatives on a similar level. Then we kind of like we started leading some workshops, and it kind of became like this really beautiful sort of community focused workshop space for us to not a training platform. Like we wouldn't say that we're a training platform, but it's more like a place to drop in for physical theatre, just because we feel like there's not enough like affordable, regular, explorative. And also, I think one of the key things that we always talked about was like places with no expectation. That makes sense, because I think often when you go to company workshops, although they are of course going to be brilliant, sometimes it can be like an expectation, like a little glass ceiling of like, okay, am I going to be seen in an audition context here? Are they going to consider me for future work? So we really wanted to try and create a space that was like truly free of expectation, just for people to come and check in, really. And then we also grew Artist Connect, which Gavin's really sort of pioneered.
Yeah, as it's evolved from us just quite literally running these quite casual drop-in sessions. I guess we've had the opportunity to really think about what we want it to be, and I think as we've reflected more and more on that, we've kind of decided that we want it to be a community, maybe over being a theatre company, possibly. I don't know. I don't even really. That's a kind of interesting thing as well, isn't it, Will? But one of the things that we really wanted to do, was start to kind of grow and speak to more people within that community to find out what it was that they wanted, and also to provide a platform for us just to sort of celebrate other people's work. We both have found ourselves often looking for other collaborators with our own kind of other theatre ventures. And sometimes it can feel quite lonely and isolating, can't it? And we just wanted, as well as setting up a kind of an outlet for people to come and throw some shapes, one whereby they could just speak to other people as well. So Artist Connect, which Will's referred to at the minute, is just quite simply a group that exists on Facebook. If you search GymJam Artist Connect, you'll find it. And really, it is exactly that. It's just an opportunity for you to maybe share a show that you're in, or to share a clip of some unusual movement, or a job that you've seen that you think other people should apply for, or a scheme or whatever. And that's been nice. People have really engaged in that, and it's been lovely.
I think that's extremely interesting, actually, because you guys speaking about sort of what you've created is now a community, and I think that's something I think we're constantly searching for, and it's not an easy thing to sort of achieve, especially in terms of you guys that specifically work in terms of physical theatre, if I'm not mistaken, and that is, as you said, it's sort of what we know of physical theatre and workshops and that community are more the outside sort of bigger companies that we look to. That, yes, when we go to a sort of workshop or a training week or whatever, there is that underlying, feeling of, you sort of tend to lose, I guess, the aim of what am I learning, what am I doing, who am I meeting for myself, as a creative. And that's really great that you guys have sort of come up with this space in terms of Artist Connect, where it's people actually sharing what they're doing and, engaging in a conversation and potentially collaboration, because some people don't know where to start off with when it comes to collaborating. It's not easy to start working with other companies, working with other people, you don't know really where to look, and it can be quite intimidating at times as well. So I ask you, has there been sort of anyone who has sort of come out of, you know, GymJam Artists Connect that sort of has started, I don't know, a new collaboration or making some sort of new work, or what's the feedback? What's been the sort of outcome of that new sort of venture?
We've had a lot of really beautiful positive feedback in terms of like people connecting and meeting for the first time, and you know, so for example, we've had a couple of dancers come along to our sessions, or choreographers who have then met actors who can move, or actors who maybe have a little bit of like a dancey background to them as well. And it's these creations of these relationships, which personally I'm kind of like, oh, that's a really lovely thing to be able to facilitate in a space. In terms of like professional work that's come out of it, it's still quite early days in terms of the Artists Connect community. I'm not actually, I don't know, Gav, have you heard of anything yet? Or
no, I think you're right to say that it's still quite early days, but it's now you've kind of said it, it's something that we just want to reiterate, that that's absolutely what it's there for, you know. And
yeah.
I think there's been lots of really brilliant sharing of opportunities, which I love, and I think that's like really nice to kind of share that and pay it forward and be kind, and obviously lots of really like lovely sharing of like work that people are doing and engagement in that as well. But I think what we'd probably like to see more of in many ways is people a bit like you would for Old Vic Connect, but maybe without it necessarily seeming a little bit like a kind of like Lonely Hearts lighting designer with good sense of humor seeks
yeah but like a dating profile. a good one.
That's sort of been my experience of it, although I have to say, like, I think it's lovely, isn't it, that something like that exists, but that happens a couple of times a year, and we just wanted something maybe more permanent that people could ask those questions. And yeah, I really hope that as that evolves and grows as well, then there will be people that feel like it is a space that they can just go, look, I'm a deviser or a composer, and I've got these songs, I don't know what to do with them, and hopefully like someone can answer that. Cool.
No, it's great.
Definitely, and it seems like the right time for this to come about. So that's something people should definitely take note of. And at the end of the chat, I would think that it's a good thing for you guys to reiterate in terms of where people can find the group and its use, because now is the perfect time for people to sort of come together and share their skills and reach out and have that space to be able to do so. Which I guess brings me to my next question in terms of obviously we're in a very strange time at the moment, and I don't think anyone could have foreseen this coming. So in terms of you guys as GymJam and even as individuals, how are you guys managing through it? And are there any sort of plans for the company, for the community at this time? As I'm aware, I've seen you guys doing something called Provocate, if I'm not mistaken. We've seen that, which I think maybe we could hear more about now.
Go on, Will.
I mean, to the first question, lots of cake, lots of food. But like in regards to like the Provocate, Gavin and I were kind of initially quite overwhelmed by the incredible online response from so many companies. We were, you know, we realized quite quickly that we were kind of feeding into this quite intense kind of scrolling mentality, I guess, where you're kind of looking through, oh my God, what's everybody doing? What's everybody up to? There's so much on offer. So we had a little think about it. We had a little chat about, you know, what inspired us, and if we were to do an offer, what would it be? And we've kind of had like provocations in a bag for a little while. So the provocations were little creative theatrical brain teasers, essentially, that you could just spend a really quick fire amount of time on. So 8 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on the task that you set, really. and you could respond to it however you wanted, like lighting, art, drawing, writing, sound, movement, however you wanted to. And the idea was to tackle the creative challenge we set that day. So one example would be that we gave them like a poem to work off of, and specifically like 2 or 3 lines from a poem, and they'd have to work that out, or a stage direction, and they might stage that from a Sarah Kane play. Like how would they work with?
So this is for
movement in that regard,
anyone
or
to
sort of
take part in. It's for anyone to engage. Oh, cool. That's great to know.
Yeah.
And this is online through your Instagram page. Is it on Facebook as well?
Yeah, we put it on all of our social channels just every day. We did it for 8 days, and then wanted to take a kind of breather just to reflect on how it went, and like again, like the feedback and response to it was pretty good. It wasn't like overwhelming in that like it went crazily viral, but I think the feedback that we had was from a lot of people was great. This is just what I wanted, you know, just to kind of really have something really small just to kind of consider. And because we also did, you know, kind of felt that actually in this moment in time, neither of us can really concentrate on anything for longer than like about 20 minutes, whether it's a film or whatever. Like my mind just sort of goes, nope, that's it. So we felt that they, like Will said, they were quick fire things that you could engage with and then throw away, or it could be the start of your, you know, adaptation of Phaedra's Love, or, you know, a poem or whatever.
Definitely. I think, I mean, at this time, like coming together and sort of, you know, it doesn't even matter if it's something that's seen by 1 person, by 10, or by 200. The fact that that's an option and that's there, it's great, especially for creatives, when I think there is, we mentioned this in our last chat, that there's this pre-assumption that now is the time to create. You know, if no one else is, if the artists aren't creating, you know, who's going to do it for us, you know? And I think that's an assumption that, unfortunately, you know, it's not. We need help, you know. We need all the help we can get in terms of kind of keeping that spark alive when so much it has affected us, you know, in ways, I guess, that I don't think we could have imagined. And again, that brings me to sort of, how are you guys sort of doing as individuals, but also as a company this time?
Go, Gavin.
I think it has been quite overwhelming, and if I'm being like really candidly honest, like it's been quite painful, hasn't it? You know, like we've all been anxious about lots of things, not least sort of relatives, family, like money things, like all those things are like unavoidably difficult. Yeah. And like we were saying as well, we were talking this morning, there's like lots of talk about, oh, when things get back to normal, when things are normal again. And that's great. And I get seduced by that talk sometimes. I'm like, yeah, when things get back to normal. But then also I sort of think, I don't know, it's just a bit painful to have to go, actually, well, things might have to shift and evolve and change, not necessarily radically, but like in some ways, you know, it might not be okay to, like, I don't know, live in this sort of like excessive society that we live in. Sorry, that was a little bit deep. Well, maybe, but I found bits of it difficult, parts of it hilarious. Like, I mean, not like the situation, obviously, but like people's creativity and like positivity and like sharing jokes and like, you know, I'm all for that. Yeah. So parts of it really difficult, like really amazing, like connecting with people though, like even now, like this is wonderful. And with each other as well, actually, that's been really important. Like for those days where you're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it at all today, for us not to put pressure on each other to kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So, how do you feel, Will?
Similarly, I mean, Gavin and I have been really really good at kind of checking in with each other and having that opportunity to like bounce off of each other, and even having just one person that you can connect with to kind of check in where you're at, because every day is so up and down. I've found it to be a bit like a roller coaster personally. I think the biggest thing for me personally, you know, and I think this applies to both professionally and like your well-being, is that I felt so much pressure to be creative, to do something with my time. And you know, you see that everywhere as well. There's such like a kind of almost boost to be like, cool, you need to get in shape, you need to have everything sorted out, that sort of stuff. And you know, I think it's little victories. I think generally in society, and I'm so guilty of this, you know, being in London, like we try and fit so much into our days. So it's kind of been really nice to wind back into the introvert that I kind of naturally am, but I sort of deny myself of just doing 1 or 2 things a day and just trying to do them really well, or just spending 20 minutes on one thing a day. And I'm like, cool, well, that's my victory. I'm going to go eat some cake and have a glass of wine.
Very good plan.
But then, like on the flip side, I've also had some really, really gorgeous reconnections with people that I wouldn't have spoken to in a long time. You know, like old family members and friends I haven't spoken to. And I've actually been weirdly more social now than I would have been in London working.
Yes. There's a weird irony.
Yeah, the only irony with all of that is like the whole technology thing, like how much we hate it, but how much it has saved us. But then also, I got my weekly screen report on my iPhone, and it was to say the least. But then I'm like, but is that okay? Because this is how I'm coping. Is this how I'm connecting with people? I've actually like not really gone on Netflix very much. I've been like on my phone, you know, it's been really weird, but I don't know, it's just this really interesting thing about technology. And I don't know if, you know, at the end, hate to say when it gets normal, but at the coming down of this, will I revert back to like all of us being like, meh, social media? Because actually it has been really helpful. It's so, I'm like, but equally, whatever, I'm a scroll if I want to scroll.
Yeah, man, it's such a massive social thing. I find like that whole connection with social media, because similarly, like a bunch of my friends, we were all like, okay, well, are we going to keep doing this when life is back to normal? And like as Gavin pointed out, like it's not going to be, you know, it's going to be slightly different. So is that like, okay, cool, well, are we gonna use it? It's definitely a conversation worth having.
Will we still be having all these pub quizzes? Well, actually, I don't know.
I think that's a really good point, and I think
I'm so bad.
he's frozen.
He's frozen in time. Yeah.
Oh, on a good face.
You get with the drink.
Cheers.
Do you actually appear again with a beer?
Yeah. Very nice. And I was just gonna say, like, based on what Gavin, you said that, yeah, it's a really strange thing to think. It's hard to say when things go back to normal, because we don't know what the new normal is going to be. At the moment, this is it. But then I think it's going to be a massive. I think it's good to sort of maybe not necessarily come to terms with yet, but accept that things are changing slowly, obviously, and in our own time, and in the way that works best for us as people, before creatives in general, and individuals, and obviously as companies as well. Which brings me then to ask you guys if you could give me top 5 tips. You can do it together or separately for managing through this time.
Yeah, I had to think about this, and like, I think it's I think it's good to like really reflect on, okay, so if you were genuinely giving other people advice on what's been helpful, or what, you know, just ask yourself that. So I think like one of the things that I've found useful and comforting is like just not feeling guilty for like not engaging in every live stream performance, workout, online webinar that there is, and just enjoy the small victories, as you've already said, Will. I think, do you know what I mean? Kind of reading a page of a book, if that's the win, then take it.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I think to add to the list, I think my next one, as hard as I personally find it, and I think everybody struggles with this, it's finding some semblance of routine and finding some semblance of a practice for yourself. Like, just even if it's just one thing, like you wake up and you do it, like 10 minutes of a breathing exercise or yoga or reading or cooking, you know, whatever that practice is. I think that is easily the thing that has got me through the days that have been the hardest. Because that's like my one victory for today. I'm like, cool, well, I got up and I did my thing, so I'm gonna go lie down.
Very good.
I found like looking at things again really useful. So like I'm really guilty of like just consuming the new online series, film, and just kind of wanting to like, yeah, I've seen that, I've done that one. And actually, like, it's been really good just going back to some things, like, or even just through doing the Provocate. Will posted an artist, Paweł Kaczynski, a Polish artist, and I'd just forgotten about their work and really enjoyed seeing it again. So like, it's all right to just revisit things that you've already got in your house, books you've already read. Yeah. Find that thing that you lost.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
On a t-shirt.
Definitely. Along with another t-shirt, like it's all about the small victories.
Yeah. No,
you got two slogans. That's great, guys. Do you have anything, sort of another one, maybe as a sort of, again, a little nugget of advice, or even just as a nugget of comfort for companies, like one specific one that you could maybe give?
One of our like sort of underpinning sort of ethoses for our workshops is probably quite a useful one, right? So we say that in our kind of one-off creative sweat workshops, we want everyone to play, sweat, and create. Like, if you could do one of those in a day, then you're probably winning, right?
Yeah.
If you can do all three, then I bow down to you at the minute.
That's awesome. That's great. Super. And we'll definitely take that on board ourselves. I mean, I really enjoyed hearing, you know, the small victories, and even, you know, just finding things we've lost, because I think that's something, it's actually been a bit of a revelation today, because it's very easy to sort of find new things to do, but actually taking a step back and maybe nurturing things that we've done once before, or, you know, it's a good piece of advice. I'm definitely going to take that one.
Yeah. And just finally, this segue into the final question. What can people, we've kind of touched on it, but what can people look to GymJam for in general, but maybe now? Obviously we mentioned Provocate, but anything, I say in the pipeline loosely, with whatever the future looks like. So what can we look forward to from you guys? You know, what can we...
We started, it's quite funny because you're doing that, but like on my screen, I'm up here, so I'm kind of like...
Oh, really?
I mean, my favourite thing, personally, that we've managed to sort of accomplish is we've started a playlist online called Movers, Shakers and Theatre Makers.
Ooh.
And this has like underpinned my daily like 10 minutes of get a sweat on and feel better for your life. And it's really beautiful, because I've seen so many people that I know and like creatives that I really respect sort of going on there and just dropping in their favorite workout tune. So it's collaborative. We've got it on our Instagram, GymJam, and anybody can add to it. So if you just click the link, you can just drop in your favorite warm-up tune. But we're kind of like getting all of our favorite theatre companies into the mix and like trying to share the love a little bit of music.
That's great.
We definitely hope to be running some more physical workshops soon. Like just as soon as it's kind of safe to, really. We'll definitely be back. We're hoping to kind of run some stuff outside of London as well. That's a bit of a pipeliney thing. So we had scheduled a workshop in Bristol, which we were both very excited about, and we'll still look to get out of London, I think, when we can.
Oh, nice.
I think that's really important as well, in terms of getting out. And I guess obviously I don't know if I'm assuming you guys are also based in London, and it's interesting for us. We paid a few visits to Em's hometown in Leicester to do a few workshops, which was fun. But I think that's really great. Like, in fact, something that we've been talking about, had a few conversations with, as in fellow creators and friends, how much doing work regionally is so important, and there's so much more space for that to happen. So getting GymJam, I guess, out of London as well, because you guys were based doing Creative Sweat at the Monobox recently, if I'm not mistaken. So now, for people to look forward, to have that accessibility, that they might have your workshops in their town, that's always great. It makes things easier.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a Kent boy at heart. You know what I mean? I was kind of brought up in the countryside, and being out here where there's not so much available, to have something like this would have like changed my world quite a lot when I was a young sort of burgeoning creative. I don't know if that's the right word, burgeoning, but one of them. But like a creative that was like in growing. I was like a little seedling. So yeah, I think we're quite passionate about getting it out of London. As lovely as London is, it tends to hog all the main street.
Yeah, we do hog things in London.
And then, like, the only other sort of final thing just to add is we've like just started a really interesting conversation with another kind of theatrical community called Move Space, who offer at the moment kind of like really wicked outlets for movers, movement people, movement directors mostly, to get together and chat about kind of that practice and all the kind of issues around that or related to that. And we're in really kind of early discussions about how we might kind of run a symposium, which was initially intended to be a kind of physically attended one. In light of things, we're trying to kind of figure out how we might make something like that work and be really accessible for people in this sort of a format, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, sounds amazing. With everything that you guys have said, I just want, maybe if we could do a little repetition so everybody can hear kind of where you guys are at in terms of social media, what to look out for, because you guys said so many great things, and it'd be great for everyone to be able to hear them just once more.
Shall I go for it? Okay, so I mean, on Instagram we're GymJam. On Facebook we've got our on Facebook we've got our GymJam Artist Connect group, and we've also got a GymJam page on Facebook. We're GymJam on Twitter as well, so we've got a Twitter page. In terms of like reaching out to us, like feel free to drop us a direct message if you want to. We offer drop-in physical theatre workshops called our Creative Sweat workshops, currently hosted at Monobox, but we're going to be expanding out of London, which will be exciting. We've got an online playlist, which is linked on our Instagram page. Movers, shakers and theatre makers, drop one of your favourite warm-up tunes in there, fully recommend. We have our provocations on all of our online accounts. So our provocate sessions are for when you're stuck at home. They're like little creative brain teasers to challenge you if you fancy a 10-minute creative sweat. We're working with Move Space to create an online symposium and hopefully a physical one in the future, which it was meant to be. So that's going to be like a collective of practitioners and companies to come together, have some exciting conversations, maybe offer some sessions, but we'll be dropping like full details on that soon. So yeah.
Great.
Smashed it.
Smashed
Thank
it.
you so much, guys. That was amazing to hear everything. And thank you so much for your time. We learned. I mean, Em and I are definitely going to have a chat after this and like take on half of the things you've suggested. So thank you for giving us sort of being so honest and giving us a little bit of insight to where you guys are at. And thank you for being able to do that on a public sphere for other people to sort of tune in. So thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hey, pleasure. Thank you for having us, seriously.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.